Hey, what's going on everyone? Thanks for checking out this video. So I'm just going to go ahead and get straight to the point. I made some LUTs for the Canon C200, both for Canon Log3 when you're not shooting in cinema raw light, and then I made some for the Canon Log2 when you're shooting in cinema raw light. And the reason I say Canon Log2 is because I grade in DaVinci Resolve, and that's the way it interpolates the raw footage as Canon Log2. So before we go any further, I do want to mention that these LUTs, this is not a cinematic LUT pack, or this is not meant to emulate any kind of film stock or any kind of blockbuster look or any particular movie or anything like that. My goal was to make a repeatable look that created a natural looking image and natural looking starting point, and I'm talking contrast, saturation, and especially skin tones. So I started off with just the Rec 709 LUT, and that's the first one we're going to talk about. And that's what I started off with developing, was this Rec 709 LUT, and that's all it is. It's just a no frills Rec 709 LUT that just looks really natural, has natural looking contrast, saturation, skin tones, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to focus on not oversaturating a particular color in this LUT. I just wanted to have something that I could throw on. It's great for like rush edits, or if you're pulling selects for a client and you wanted to just throw on a quick LUT just to get it in a Rec 709 look. This is a great LUT for that, and that was kind of the idea behind the development of this LUT. I just needed something real quick that I could throw on so I could share it with whomever. So that's that LUT. The next LUT is the Boost LUT, and the Boost LUT is basically a carbon copy of the Rec 709 LUT, and all this is doing is it's boosting the vibrancy and saturation in the greens. And really the goal with this was just to kind of bring to life foliage and grass and trees and landscapes and stuff like that. So that's the Boost LUT. There's really nothing more to it. Same thing as the Rec 709 LUT, just boosts the saturation in the greens a little bit. But it's not overemphasized or anything like that. I just wanted to boost those greens a little bit, because for certain scenes I just found that I wanted to boost the greens, so that's why I made it. So up next is the Crush LUT, and this is designed based off of the standard Rec 709 LUT. And what this does is it basically adds a little bit more contrast, and it focuses on bringing the shadows down a little bit more and boosts the highlights ever so slightly. So it just kind of gives you a more contrasty look than the standard Rec 709 LUT, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's all it does, just a little bit more punch, a little bit more aggressive on the contrast curve than the standard Rec 709 LUT, so it looks great there. And then the last one is the Expo LUT, and Expo I just shortened for exposure, because I just kind of played around with the exposure a little bit more. Again, this is based off of the Rec 709 LUT, but it plays around with the exposure, and especially in the gamma and the shadows, it kind of plays around with that, brings those down a little bit more. And the reason why I developed this one was because I found that I was grading interviews a lot using this methodology, and it looks great, especially when shooting interviews like on the shadow side of a face. I love the way that this just kind of maps the gamma curve. It just looks really cool in my opinion. It looks really great, and it doesn't look overly contrasty or moody or anything like that. So yeah, I just love the way it looks. So yeah, a little bit more about all these LUTs together. These LUTs are, again, they're not cinematic LUT packs or anything like that. They're just meant to be a great starting point for future color grading. So my idea was to bring the Canon Log3 footage to life, great contrast, have skin tones ready to go, everything's good to go, and then anything other beyond that is up to the colorist or the editor or whoever's grading the footage to create whatever look they want beyond that. These LUTs are also really great for loading onto a monitor. So those of you that have the C200B, or just C200 owners in general that use an external monitor, I myself included in one of those. I'm using a small HD monitor right now, and I use the Rec 709 LUT to monitor my footage because I think it looks really good on the monitor, and that's what's really great about these LUTs. Because they're not overly aggressive and overly stylized, they're a great on-set monitoring solution. So for any monitors that you have that you can load 3D LUTs on, this is a great LUT to use. A couple of people have told me that have been testing these LUTs out for me have said they've actually been using the Crush LUT for monitoring, because they feel like it kind of helps them. It's kind of a dummy check and kind of a little safeguard against protecting the shadows, because that LUT is obviously crushing the shadows a little bit more. If you monitor with that LUT, you kind of have a little bit more wiggle room in post, knowing that you didn't crush any shadows too much or didn't lose any shadow information there. So anyways, yep, that's all I need to say about the Canon Log3 LUTs. So I hope you enjoy those. And moving on to the Canon Log2 LUTs, I have 4 LUTs for the Canon Log2 footage. I have a base LUT, a moody LUT, a neutral LUT, and a boost LUT. So the first LUT is the base LUT. This is just kind of a no frills Rex 09 transform LUT. That is a really pleasing contrast, highlight roll off, saturation, and skin tones. It's just kind of a plug and play. And these LUTs are really, I mean, a lot of times I don't even do anything to the footage. I might play around with the highlight slider on the raw tab or shadows or something like that, but I really just drop these LUTs on and call it a day, because they look that good and they just work in all shooting situations. So base LUT, again, just a no frills, ready to go right out of the box. It's a great starting point, but I've also just used this LUT as the final grade. And like a lot of wedding films and stuff that I've done, there's been a lot of instances where I've shooting cinema raw light, like B-roll and stuff, where there's just one node on the grade and it's just that LUT, and then it's exported. So it's a really awesome LUT. The next one is the moody LUT. This is based off of the base LUT, with the exception of, and this is the one that's probably the only creative looking LUT, I would say. And basically what all this does is it just it motivates more blues and teals into the shadows, and that's it. So skin tones still remain intact, highlights, all that other stuff remains intact. It just focuses on the shadows of the image, and I love the way it looks. It really gives just a really cool moody feel, and that was the first word that came to mind when I was working on this LUT. I said, yeah, it looks really moody, so that's why I called it moody. Okay, up next is the neutral LUT, and this one kind of has a different mapping of the contrast, and basically this is like just a really neutral looking LUT, and that's kind of why I called it neutral, and you'll see why when you apply it to your footage. Just a natural looking saturation, contrast curve, skin tones again are accurate. Everything is just kind of really neutral looking. There's really no other way to explain it. So I'm going to move on to boost, which is the last LUT I'm going to talk about. And the boost LUT is based off of the neutral LUT, and all this is doing is it's just boosting the greens, the colors like of grass and foliage and trees and shrubs and all that kind of stuff. Landscapes, great for that kind of stuff. So those are the LUTs. I hope you enjoy them. Definitely consider going over. I'll leave the link down in the description to the LUTs. If you buy the pack, which I think most people probably would, it's like $15, so you're getting a bunch of awesome LUTs for $15. So yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Definitely go check out the link, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But if you're still here, you're probably waiting for a question to answer in the comments. So if you were to only have one lens for filmmaking for the rest of your life, what lens would it be and why? Leave it in the comments. Thanks for checking out this video. Peace.